year's 2016, and the whole world is talking about The Walking Dead. The suspense and the devastating deaths, the show was impossible to ignore as the #1 rival to Game of Thrones. At the time, this was my favorite show, watching week to week, not being able to wait for the next episode. And then this episode happened, that didn't just deliver chaos and shock reaching the peak of its lifetime, but also changing the show forever. Season 6 episode 9 was not only one of the most, if not the most legendary episode of The Walking Dead, but the episode that would also lead to the downfall of the show. My name is Terrence, and I'm going to navigate you through one of the highest rated episodes of The Walking Dead that reached a high point the show wouldn't be able to replicate again. Make sure you grab your popcorn, hit that subscribe and like button for more breakdowns on episodes from your favorite shows, and let's dive on in. Starting this episode off, we follow Daryl, Abraham, and Sasha riding through the woods on what is assumed as an ordinary supply run. But this scene is important for the future of the show, as it shows once again that walkers are not the biggest threat on this show. Trying to make it back to Alexandria, they end up in a roadblock of numerous armed men. This is the first time we ever meet or even entertain the idea of the Saviors. They tell them their weapons and belongings belong to a guy named Negan. It is the first time we hear this name, and it is the first time the show plants a seed of the upcoming villain. Even though we haven't met him yet, fear is already starting to set in. In this moment, despite intimidation tactics and being severely outgunned and outnumbered, Daryl remains calm and gets a Savior to himself, where he takes advantage, taking out the Savior and shooting a rocket from an RPG at the numerous Saviors blocking the road, setting them on fire on impact and immediately killing them, bidding the three back on their journey to Alexandria, but leaving that lingering question of who is Negan. As we follow the characters inside of Alexandria, they're not dealing with the threat of armed men, but thousands of walkers. The community is surrounded, everyone is indoors and scared that the walkers will find their way inside soon. This is where No Way Out truly begins. We join Rick, Carl, Michonne, Gabriel, and Jesse and her family, covered in walkers' intestines, walking amongst them, trying not to make a sound. These same stakes made them leave the farm, made them leave the prison, but they're not ready to leave their new home yet, and are trying to find a way to survive. As night falls, tensions start to rise to the highest levels. Rick and the rest of the group are scrambling to protect the community. What makes this episode a masterclass in suspense is how it shifts from personal drama to an impending apocalypse. Everyone needs to work as a team, and every decision, big or small, has life or death consequences. One of the most powerful visual metaphors in this show isn't about strength, it's about control. Control over fear, control over panic, and control over yourself. And this lack of control is what leads us on a domino effect, starting with Sam. Sam isn't weak or stupid. He's terrified. In this new world, fear is a death sentence. As the group moves through the horde, Sam begins to panic. He remembers a story Carol told him, and the realization of what's around him causes him to freeze, costing him everything. Sam represents the old world, where kids were not expected to do more than what they had to do before the apocalypse. In comparison, Rick's group represents the new world, people who learn that fear never disappears, but is mastered. For example, look at Carl. He started out as a scared little kid hiding behind his parents in shame. He was struggling to understand the new world, but Carl adapted. He didn't survive because he wasn't scared. He survived because he trained himself to act instead of fear. Sam's hesitation did not only cause his death, but leads to chaos and sets the viewers up for a shock that pulled at your heartstrings. Sam's death shatters everyone around him. Jessie, his mother, doesn't know how to survive this world, doesn't know how to be quiet in intense situations, and causes herself to get bit. The look on Rick's face says everything as Jessie is grabbed by the horde. Jessie wasn't the only person he was protecting, but the first person that allowed him to feel something after his wife's death. Rick letting his guard down and forgetting about survival, where he imagined the future, is once again ripped away from him. Then the moment comes that defines Rick Grimes. He takes his axe and chops away at Jessie's arm, every swing adding more and more trauma, reliving everything he's lost. He saved Carl, but the universe isn't done taking. As Jesse's son grabs a gun and points it at Rick, unknowingly Michonne walks up and stabs him in the back, and the gun goes off. The damage is done already. Even though he's no longer a threat, Carl has been shot. Without hesitation, Rick picks Carl up, and Michonne draws her sword and she starts slashing her way to the hospital, where Rick follows. Upon arrival, we can see Rick is completely out of it. Grief, guilt, and a loss of hope all going through his head. This is when Rick finally lets go. He takes his axe, without saying a word, steps back out in the streets and starts tearing down the walkers at a level we've never seen before. This isn't a man fighting to save himself. It's a man who's felt he's lost everything, all emotions pouring out with each swing, executing the walkers in vicious ways. Rick is a one-man army that the whole town of Alexandria will now notice. The town doesn't see a man frozen in fear or a man who's running. They see a man who's willing to fight an entire herd of walkers by himself. He told no one to follow him and asked no one to join him out there. But one by one, they follow him because they see because of his actions it's possible to beat the walkers together. This is Rick at his best as a leader. At this moment in the episode, we've reached the show's peak. We notice a shift in emotion. Fear no longer rules Alexandria. Panic no longer dictates how the survivors react. For the first time, the walls aren't protecting the people. They are as they fight as a town. Every character has changed. Even Gabriel, who said,
God will save Alexandria. Because God has given us the courage to save it ourselves.
really puts you in that mode for an epic battle. And it's all due to one of the greatest anti-heroes in television history, Rick Grimes. Rick has transformed them all. He's a spark that turned fear into action, chaos into order, and terror into determination. He shows his rage as a lesson in leadership that sometimes survival requires courage and grit. No cliffhangers or shocking deaths, but just showing the full scope of humanity under pressure. Every character has grown, every fear confronted, and the stakes are so real. For a few glorious minutes, every character is a survivor and the series feels unstoppable. It's tense, it's emotionally charged, it's cinematic. This is absolutely The Walking Dead at its absolute best storytelling. Just when it seems the horde might overwhelm them, Daryl shows up, and not just with any plan, he wields an RPG. One rocket, one explosion, and the walkers scatter in chaos. The noise, the fire, the destruction. It's a perfect distraction that gives Rick and the others the opening they need to make their final stand. What follows is nothing short of legendary. The group fights as one. Rick, Michonne, Glenn, Maggie, Carol, Morgan, even the townspeople move through the chaos like a well-oiled machine. Every kill, every block, every swing of a weapon is coordinated, cinematic, and raw. The camera swoops, the music builds, and the sequence unfolds like a masterfully crafted montage, probably the greatest in the show's history. For a few minutes, the apocalypse feels surmountable. The survivors are unstoppable. But here lies the irony. This very moment, this glorious display of heroism, is also the beginning of the show's undoing. By the end of the battle, the characters have survived virtually impossible odds. They've become too strong, too skilled, and perhaps most dangerously, too domesticated. The horde, once terrifying, no longer feels insurmountable. The stakes, once deadly, start to feel negotiable. The Walking Dead have reached a creative high so extreme that it set an impossible standard for what came after. Characters who were once underdogs, vulnerable and raw, now seem invincible. The suspense, the fear, and the tension that made episodes like this unforgettable would become harder and harder to maintain in later seasons. For those who stuck around, make sure you hit that subscribe and hit the bell and let me know down below what episode you want to see me break down next. Until next time, stay safe and live life to the fullest. Peace.